Hey, hello everybody. That's better. Looked a little dark. Nice to see you all again on this Thursday, this sunny Thursday. Um, okay, so first of all, thanks again for suggestions and requests. Keep sending them. Definitely, I will try to go into like intros and endings what I just read today. Hi Dan. Hey. Um, but for today, I want to kind of talk about two topics that were suggested or requested. One is to go a little bit more back to the like tritone 2/5, more possibilities, and maybe also variations on that. And another one is like Coltrane changes or like giant steps. Um, so actually, those two topics kind of I found some old papers, and those two topics are kind of in these exercises. So it's a few years ago I did a workshop for like 26 guitar players, and I called it a harmonic improvisation seen from a piano player's view. Yeah, oh yeah. Hey, Peter. Thanks for the really nice present. I got two boxes of amazing, nice German beer, and thanks again. I will really enjoy it when it's getting a little warmer. I will drink them all in the garden. Okay. So I did this workshop. Yeah, harmonic improvisation seen from a piano player's view. So I wrote a lot of different examples for the guitar players to practice, and uh, some of the variations I will explain to you. It's like some variations on the 2/5, uh, and that also includes this tritone 2/5 that Peter asked to go a little deeper into that. So we will do that, and then some variations on the tritone 2/5. So with the Bill Evans variation, and then also like moll 2, or what I sometimes also read is like the backdoor 2/5. And then maybe like a long variation on 2/5, and then countdown changes on the 2/5, and then maybe even the 2/5 only using pentatonics. Actually, we talked a little bit about that last week, but I can repeat it again. And then I had also harmonic variations on a long major chord and on a long minor chord. But the long minor chord I kind of already covered in the modal masterclass last week. Okay, so maybe let's first start with the the tritone 2/5. Yeah, then it was not scary at all to have 26 guitar players. You just put written music in front of them, and it's super quiet. So actually, the funny thing was there was no amps, so you heard only these acoustic sounding electric guitars, and it sounded like kind of a mandolin orchestra. It was really funny. Okay, so let's say work first on the tritone 2/5. So like the first step would be just to replace the normal 5 with the tritone. So let's say D minor G7, and the G7 we can easily replace with the D flat 7. The function is still the same. So you... Oh, Vincent, sorry, I won't make too many jokes about guitar players. I'm sorry. Okay, so D flat 7, and then most of the time for the tensions, we think of 9, 13, and maybe sharp 11, because sharp 11 is the fifth from the top, from the key. So you have... So scale-wise, you could best think actually of the G7 altered, but with the D flat in the bass. I mean, otherwise, if you name it from the root, then it would be D flat Lydian dominant. But that kind of names I always don't like so much. I think it's a little bit too much like American books. Okay, so G7 altered with a D flat in the bass. That still sounds kind of as a normal 2/5 one. But But of course, we can accentuate that it's a tritone by, for instance, only using the triad. That's a thing I heard a lot actually with Barry Harris and Bud Powell and Tommy Flanagan. So let's say the bass plays the normal D, G, C, but on the G we play a D flat triad, or even the 7 chord. So let's say. Or even the D flat 7, also cool. Yeah, to connect it to the C is a little bit more difficult. Yeah, there's also one really nice lick I heard from Jackie Terrison on his record Smile, and he plays Nardis, and then he plays on an F7, sorry, on a B7. So. Just inversions of the F7 dominant, the classical dominant chord. So that's a cool thing maybe to practice. The other thing we could do is like we really think of D flat 7, but as a standalone chord, so we could actually use also like the bebop scale. And now we already kind of put in the G flat. So today's topic is harmonic variations, starting with the tritone 2/5, and later maybe even going to Coltrane changes. Okay. So this sound already sounds more out. I think that completely is from a Barry Harris workshop, but it sounds super cool. Okay, so now we were just thinking about the tritone of the dominant, but we can also use the tritone. It's D flat 7 bebop scale over G7, and so we have this. Normally it would be. And now we play actually. Yeah, so actually we could even combine those two. Let's play the G7 bebop scale into the D flat bebop scale. That also sounds cool. So you have like a... wait a minute, I got stuck, sorry. That one doesn't resolve, sorry. Yeah, so it sounds quite out, but it's really like the bebop scale. Okay, and if you make like a sequence with this thing, then it starts also to sound a little bit like a diminished scale. And so like if you take this part from the G7 and this same part from the D flat 7, variation. Yeah, so now actually this is already the whole tritone 2/5. So we can think of one bar D minor 7, and then in the second bar A flat minor 7, D flat 7. So we get like. And for the piano players, of of course, this one we really have to practice in 12 keys, the drop 2 exercise from Barry Harris. So we start on the 11. So it's a D minor 7. And the bass and the melody move diatonically. And the same on G7. Same A flat minor. Yeah, so the left hand, if you at the end, if you go to the G, then it's like the G altered. So. But the G flat gives more tension. So. Actually, yeah, that's in the book. Yeah. Actually, this the last part, if you do only the A flat minor 7 to the D flat 7, but on a G bass, then it sounds really hip. And you can use also definitely in your ballads or in your comping. So I'll show you. So G7, but the top is A flat minor 7. So. Yeah, so that sounds actually quite hip. It's actually playing a dominant with a major 7 in the chord. And it sounds quite hip, but we did a project with Billy Strayhorn arrangements, and I think there was an arrangement from 1937 or something, and he used this voicings. So he plays like. Love Has Passed Me By Again, one of the lesser known ballads from Billy Strayhorn. Okay. Yeah, okay, so this is also a thing we can use in the voicings, this tension from the tritone 2/5. Okay, so then it's of course nice to practice some lines on the tritone 2/5s, and of course in 12 keys we have to do. So I'll just show you a few that I found that I really like from other players. So the first one, actually all these papers I will put on my website so you can download it. The one that's I think a really nice one is from Celia, from Bud Powell, and he plays this line. So that's a good line to practice. And of course, you can always make your own variation. That's nice. Another one that maybe I showed before, I'm not sure, but I like it's kind of a Michael Brecker thing. It's like starting on the 7. So basically, it's a complete sequence. You play exactly the same on D minor 7 as on the A flat minor 7. So you can use that also that idea to create your own lines. So it also is not there, but it could be, for instance. So it's up to you. I made one that's actually hard to transpose, but I like it. Yeah, so that hopefully you will find your own lines with this similar idea, with this sequence between the D minor and the A flat minor. This one is kind of based on the pentatonics, so you can play D minor pentatonic to A flat minor pentatonic. And you see like the same pentatonic pattern on D minor and A flat minor. Let's see if this works. Yeah. So just to give you some ideas and make your own, use your own creativity for that kind of thing. Okay. So for the tritone 2/5, those things definitely work, and you can apply this tritone 2/5 on every 2/5 that resolves to a 1. So a tune that I use a lot for students to practice this kind of thing is, for instance, the bridge of confirmation. So you get the C minor. So C minor to F sharp minor. So. And same. So you can actually repeat the same line: C minor, F sharp minor, B7, and then E flat minor, A minor, D7. Yeah. So one important thing about the tritone 2/5 that I have to mention is the 5. You cannot do too much with tensions, not too much with flat 9, flat 13, because then a lot of times people end up in the wrong key. So if I'll show you an example. So try to think the 5 actually, yeah, like kind of a diatonic 5, or think back to the original dominant altered. The lady, what's that? What's what? I don't know. Maybe I missed this one. Okay, maybe later. Yeah. Okay, so that's a little bit about the tritone 2/5, and of course you can also practice this maybe with voicings or with the drop 2. It's definitely cool. Yeah, so that's already a little bit more difficult, but cool. Maybe also. Well, I make myself too difficult. Okay, so maybe that's for now a little bit enough about the tritone 2/5. Then I have two nice variations that are actually based on the same principle, but by adding one more minor chord in between. So let's say the first one, if you go up, it's actually a variation I found in a few tunes where Bill Evans used it. It's like Who Can I Turn To and I Hear Rhapsody. Those two recordings. The I Hear Rhapsody is from Bill Evans with Jim Hall. That's a great recording. And Who Can I Turn To is on Live at Town Hall. So later, yeah, let's see. D minor 7, A minor, A flat minor 7, only in Dorian mode. Yeah, actually, I think that's best. So actually, really thinking of the one chord, but of course, yeah, on the 2, actually, most of the time, Dorian is best because we have the 7 that kind of is tension to the third of the dominant, but you could maybe use it as a kind of suspension. Yeah. Okay, so the first variation would be going up in minor thirds with minor chords. So we had the D minor already, and we had the A flat. So in between there's one more third. So D minor, F sharp, D minor, F minor, A flat minor, D flat 7, C. Oh, the sequence in fourths with the. Oh, you mean the funny lick? Was, I think that's the one. And with the fourths, could also be the one with pentatonics. Okay, so for this this variation, yeah, I always call the Bill Evans tritone 2/5. It can sometimes also work in themes. Eh? So let's say, who can I turn to? Here comes it. So we had F minor, A flat, B minor, E7 to E flat major. Yeah, and in the other tune. So that these two tunes, at least I know where Bill Evans used this variation. So now we have some lines for this progression. Let's say we go back to my favorite key of C. D minor, F minor, A flat minor, D flat 7 to C. So maybe first like a simple line using actually only the scales. So like kind of really accentuating this with the scale the chord. One I also found is like also again like using kind of fourths or pentatonics. So let's say D minor, F minor. And like just again like some ideas for you maybe to work on with your own lines. Okay, one that I used in an arrangement one time. It's playing all the arpeggios. So let's say. And then maybe with. And that's more like for arranging, for like ending maybe. Okay, the next variation is like going down in minor thirds. That's also cool. So D minor, B minor, A flat minor, D flat 7 to C. And we can do similar kind of thing, like making lines maybe with scales or with arpeggios or with pentatonics. I wrote down a few just, and they're more kind of. Oh yeah, this one more like arpeggio, I think. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. I didn't bring my glasses. Sorry. Okay, but you can maybe also just try like scale wise again. What we said. Let's see what else can. That's too long. Too long. just try your own stuff. I'm also just experimenting now. Okay, maybe some question. Can you give some idea on the 13, 16 bar of It Could Happen to You? Thirteen, 16 bar of It Could Happen to You. Ooh, I have to count. On the second degree tone. I have to think about it, Jonas. I don't quite get it yet. Okay. How would you analyze the chords functionally if you go down in minor thirds? Actually, it's just the B minor is not functional in this progression. It's just like a parallel movement. Huh? Yeah, that's a good question. But I think these substitutions only work on a major 2/5. Yeah. Yeah, I think that would sound really strange on a minor 2/5. Yeah, but definitely the one we talked about first, the tritone 2/5 can work also in minor, but not like this minor thirds going up and down, because the two would be a half diminished, and so you would have like. I think that doesn't work, but definitely we can still keep the tritone 2/5 in a half diminished. So let's say we have D half diminished. Yeah, that could work. That could work. Okay, so this there was the second variation on this tritone 2/5. What I also heard some people do, Kenny Barron on There Will Never Be Another You with Scofield, is like leaving out the original 2. So that sounds even more hip because you have this really strong tension and then finally the release. So let's say. You see, like I'm playing immediately E minor 7 to A7 instead of B flat minor 7, E flat 7. And especially with the original bass, that will sound quite clashing and eventually it resolves. So let's say try with a normal bass. And so that can actually sound quite like outside of the key, but it's still kind of thinking functionally. The same thing they do a lot in the blues in the fourth bar. And let's say. Like, yeah, for that actually you have to practice. There's a lot of this tritone 2/5 in Dance of the Infidels from Bud Powell. I like chromatic. Yeah, it's one of the most difficult blues forms I ever saw because there's no blue chord at all. There's only major and tritone 2/5s, and chromatic 2/5s. Yeah. Okay, and then I think like getting away a little bit from the tritone 2/5, I will. I have a few other options, and that will lead us to giant steps. So instead of playing a 2/5, instead of playing the tritone 2/5, you can also find other ways going to the 1. Yeah, so good question. So definitely, if you do like the last one I mentioned, like going straight to the tritone, it will definitely clash with the bass player. But I think that's also the power of it, that as long as you resolve good, if it ends with a good connection to the 1, I think then it actually sounds really cool. Okay, so instead of playing D minor, G7C, we can also think of the moll dur, or the back door. I'm still not sure what's the English word. I also read somewhere modal interchange. So, but it's actually using the 4 minor to the flat 7 dominant. So it's like Ladybird. Like, so like F minor 7, B flat 7 to C. Actually, there are a lot of tunes where we see this progression. And for this one, it's also important to be careful with all the tensions on the flat 7 dominant. If you go like too much with flat 13s, you also end up in the wrong key. And so let's say we can maybe first do it in combination with the original two. Let's say. I had my example. Where are they? It's almost the same. So like really, especially the E flat will really give you the sound of the F minor 7. That's yeah, so on the 5, actually on the flat 7 dominant, you can actually choose, but definitely the sharp 11 works good because it's then you're more related to the key of C major as the third. And I think there are also a lot of tunes where this is definitely in the melody. But as a choice, you could also go for the E flat. So actually like the sus4 or the 13. If you think more of like a standalone B flat 7. So let's say B flat 7 bebop for instance. Like, yeah. Oh, that's dangerous. Yeah, that could work. But I almost wanted to play. So I made my own mistake going to the wrong key. And this similar kind of thing we could do with only the, let's say the subdominant chord. So like let's say F minor 7 or even D half diminished. So let's say let's say even on the G bass. Let's say so now we get the scale actually from F minor melodic or F minor Dorian. You can choose. Then is the moll duo a bit like 5 Phrygian? Yeah, actually, of course, the same sound. If you think of F minor Dorian, that's same as G Phrygian. Yeah, yeah. So of course, if the bass plays the G and we play this F minor Dorian over it, yeah, then it will become kind of Phrygian. So, but we can still choose if we use the or. And it's also like the same sound. I think you hear also like in yeah, if they play like a 5 sus flat 9. Let's say yeah. Yeah, so it's kind of the same yeah, with the sus and the flat 9. Yeah, and then you can always choose to go for the 13 or the flat 13. Like it. This one. Or, yeah, so it's all kind of related. The moll duo 4 or the moll duo 2 half diminished or the moll duo flat 7 dominant. It's all kind of going the same direction. Okay, so Yeah, so then I skip one because there are a lot of them, but I'll put them on the side. You can see whatever you like or not. We can also replace 2/5 with the countdown changes. Yeah, that's oh, wait, how do I implement study licks in real time playing? Yeah, I think I talked about that a little bit last Friday. It's like first you have to kind of force yourself to, and like sometimes you can say, okay, on this 2/5, I will use that line, and then of course, then the rest of the improvisation will be free. You can do whatever you like, but on that moment you have to play that line, and then you also will find out uh, what works before that line or after that line. So of course you have to kind of put this line that you practice in a context. And you cannot play only that line and then play something completely different. So that's a good thing to think about, and also um, listen to the examples, and like how they use this line in the rest of the solo also. And so let's say if we play only and I want to try some of these lines. Let's say. So like I try to play something before and after that kind of has kind of the same quality or same sound. Okay, so now let's work a little bit on the countdown changes and the giant steps changes. Well, time always goes fast. Okay. So I was with some students actually the last year. We picked up again like studying the Coltrane tunes, and yeah, they're great, but it's also really difficult, I think. Um, but of course, once you get kind of the idea of the harmonic movement and you have enough material for those changes, you can actually play a lot of tunes. So like really nice is to check out some different tunes. We last semester we played a lot Satellite, which is based on How High the Moon, and 26-2, which is based on Confirmation, and of course Giant Steps, and Countdown, which is actually based on Tune Up. And I know there are a lot more, but I think if you practice those, then it's already then you cover almost all the keys actually. Yeah. So from a practical point of view, I always think of actually the two different variations from Coltrane. So countdown changes is actually starts on the second degree, and giant steps starts on the first degree. But actually, they're exactly the same. And it depends also how long you continue with the cycle. So let's say if we're in C, if we start on C, we have C, and then we're back to C. So if you continue long enough, you come back home. Um, and let's say, but if we start do exactly the same, we start on the second degree. You see the whole harmonic progression is almost the same except the first chord. And so what I did for myself and also with students is like to make a kind of systematic exercises on the giant steps or countdown changes. And actually, I found also on internet there's a transcription of the Coltrane solo on giant steps. And what they did is they didn't write out like the all the choruses, but they put all the first bars of each chorus under each other and the second bar, and then you can see exactly what Coltrane plays on, let's say D7G, and sometimes it's the same in different choruses, and you can see what he plays on B flat to E flat and F sharp to B. That's basically the whole giant steps, with some extra 2/5 to go to another section. So I used to know two choruses, but still know a little bit from the first chorus, I think. Yeah, so I would definitely advise you actually to practice the whole solo, but at a certain moment you will see there will be similar ideas repeated. And like I think especially the first two bars he plays a lot of times the same. Also with the I like the 1 2 3 5 thing. Eh? 1 2 3 5. But of course you cannot only play. Then it sounds too much like a typewriter. Okay. So what I did, I just took out some of the 5 1s that Coltrane plays, the lines, and practiced them on all three keys. So in this case, it's B major, G major, E flat major. And let's say we start with the beginning. So I always say as a bad joke, then you're ready. If you do like this, you already have 3 times more material. Yeah, 3 times more material than Coltrane. So that could be an exercise. And then so let's say what is the next one? And you get like. So like if you analyze, then it's like arpeggio from B flat 7 9. See? So that could be a really systematic way of practicing Coltrane's lines, but also in the other keys. And then for the 2 5s, of course, we can play all the stuff we know on the 2 5, but we can also maybe practice. Yeah, like that. Or, so that's already kind of an assignment. Just practice actually the whole Coltrane solo in 3 keys. And of course, you could actually go looking for material also in the other tunes, the Satellite 26-2 or what's the other one I mentioned? Countdown. Yeah, but I kind of already had my hands full with only giant steps. So I don't know any questions about giant steps. I think one thing nice to mention is that I was just listening in the morning to giant steps, and what a lot of bass players don't do anymore, but it's an original recording. It's the bass goes whole steps down actually, and a lot of times if they play giant steps from the iReal Pro or from the Real Book, they just play B D G. That's actually it. So we need these whole steps down in the bass. Yeah, so Hogman, that's actually the next step. So we can also look for other tunes where we can use the Coltrane changes. So if we maybe first concentrate only on giant steps, as I said, we start on the 1, and if you actually go 1 bar more than Coltrane, you end on the 1 again. Actually, he does this also in Body and Soul, the B part, like. So like starting on D, F7, B flat, D flat 7, G flat, A7 to D. I think also the last one. So there he already stops on the C. Otherwise, it would end. It would never go to the last A. So he already did himself on the standard Body and Soul. But like for instance, also I heard some other people do it in other standards, and it sounds actually really cool. Yeah, one time I was in Denmark with Jan Hogendijk, Ben van der Dung, and we went to a little concert. The son of Jimmy Rainey, I think he's called Doug Rainey, but he played it in Star Eyes, which is really cool because it works with the melody. So you get like so we're going like D flat, E7, A major, C7 to F major. So that's definitely a tune I wouldn't expect it, but it worked perfectly with the melody. Yeah, I also did it myself a few times, for instance, in Bernie's tune in the B part. Can be made nice, maybe like. And definitely, yeah. Also try to put it in tunes that you like. The giant steps changes. And definitely, yeah, on the blues we can use it in the first 4 bars. Yeah, but you have to add one more dominant at the end. So let's say blues in F. Actually, you could just play the melody of 26 too. I don't know, but that's cool. Yeah. The 7 of the dominant ascending. Ascending was going up. Yeah. Yeah. The 7 is definitely in the patterns of Coltrane. It's definitely a lot of times because it's the strongest leading note to the next chord. So let's see. But also the 9, I think. So I think we have to look for notes that have very clearly outline definitely the dominant chord, I think. Yeah. Kind of related to this is if we think of the bass line from the theme whole steps going down, that kind of implies we could also play the 2 instead of the 5. That's also a thing I practice a little bit. So actually this is like, I think you could see this F minor instead of a B flat 7. So let's say if we try to outline all the 2 chords, so the minor 7s. If you improvise using the chord change, well, the bass player. Yeah, it's a little bit the same thing. So like, it's like for a long time there's a really big tension between the piano and the bass. But I think at the end, if it resolves really clearly, then actually it sounds really cool, like outside sound. Yeah. So maybe also nice to practice is to play not the 5-1, but the 2-1. Let's say again on the original giant steps. So like, you see, so a minor 7 chord instead of a dominant chord. So let's say if we practice arpeggios. Maybe like that, or yeah, we could maybe do again like with our 10s where we talked about. anyway, good exercise to do. Yeah. I also find what could be nice is like maybe even using like triads. Let's say we do. Maybe that's too hip. Maybe even with. Oh yeah. Maybe even with the pentatonics. I was also practicing that. So let's say we find on every chord we find some possibilities for the pentatonics. So B major could be, let's say, E flat minor, so all the black keys. But it could also be A flat minor pentatonic. And for the more hip sound with the sharp 11, it could be B flat minor pentatonic. So you have to make kind of a schedule which pentatonics work on which chord, because we only have 2 beats. So for the dominant chord or the 2, we also have possibilities like we can already go to the pentatonic from the 1. That's actually easier. So let's say with the D7. So D major pentatonic or B minor pentatonic. So maybe to build it up, first play only the pentatonic of the 1. So let's say if we go D7 to G, we play only G major pentatonic, or maybe even B minor pentatonic. So it sounds still kind of inside the scale. If you're gonna do more exotic pentatonics on the dominant, that sounds really cool. It's like, I think what we saw before with pentatonics, you can use the altered chord, let's say maybe even with normal line. So now I played all the dominants altered. I'll try again. Sorry. Yeah, of course, then the sharp 9, flat 9 are the most important notes, and the flat 13, because they're not in the diatonic diatonic dominant. Let's say D7. So those patterns, if you already would practice all the dominants, that's already a lot of work. Yeah. So we go for altered, and maybe let's maybe even try other dominants like diminished scale maybe. But of course, there's too many notes for one chord, so we have to find maybe the notes that outline the diminished sound or the octatonic sound. So maybe arpeggios. We always have to keep in mind we have 2 beats, so I cannot play too many notes. But maybe one time like. And so then we have to make the whole form more diminished or octatonic. And Coltrane one time plays himself actually, like which is like the D plus or like the D flat 5. We could call it also. So maybe. mixing the ideas from Coltrane all together. So let's say we do the dominance altered, then we have the pentatonic scale from minor third up, minor pentatonic. And now it's going to be weird, I think. So you get D7. So you get actually the pentatonic from the sharp 9. So F minor pentatonic on D7. Then we get B flat altered. D flat minor pentatonic on B flat altered. And then we're still missing one dominant, F sharp. A minor pentatonic. So let's see how that sounds. That sounds a little bit, I think, like Kenny Kirkland. Or, where are we? Yeah, so this is also cool. So you have to find patterns that fit in 2 beats. Yeah, but it could be a nice thing to have a complete different sound than Coltrane, going more for the pentatonics. So maybe also check out the solo for this kind of style, the solo from Kenny Kirkland on YouTube. It's a recording with Kenny Garrett, and he plays also like rhythmic stuff like 5-note groupings, and so to have a really different inspiration for the Coltrane for the giant steps. Yeah, so the other one we actually can use even in more places is the countdown changes. So, like the original would be. So tune up, which is basically a 2/5 in D, 2/5 in C, and a 2/5 in B flat. The thing with the countdown change is you always end on the tonic later. So instead of the D major, you get like you should be D major. So you 1 bar later actually. So if you're going to apply this on regular 2/5s, always keep in mind you resolve 1 bar too late actually. So any 2/5, long 2/5, so over 4 bars, you can apply this countdown thing. So let's say if you and the bridge all 2/5s. So you can do like maybe. Shit, I lost. Then we're in different keys than the original countdown. But it's definitely cool to sometimes use this on the 2/5-1. So I think I showed it also a little bit on the rhythm changes. If we start on the second bar, let's say we have like. So like actually playing, yeah, but not for me. Yeah, Coltrane also. Yeah, great. Yeah, yeah. So definitely he also applied it on other standards. So on the blues we can use the giant steps changes. On the rhythm changes from bar 2, the countdown. and the countdown on any long 251. So that's definitely cool practice material. So let's see. I had maybe some lines for that. I think they're also in the papers. Countdown, example H. Yeah, it's a little similar. So like on a 251, D minor to C. And the giant steps. G. You get like similar kind of line. So like in C major. So even when you have a long major chord, you can use this. Let's say you play like. And maybe even on the B, we have the long 2/5s. You just try wherever possible, try to apply giant steps or countdown. Any questions for that? I know it's a difficult material also for me, but by practicing it a lot and finding a lot of patterns, you definitely feel more comfortable. Yeah, even just practice maybe like 1 or 2 patterns in 12 keys, then you're really that's already a good exercise, I think. Yeah, today is awfully quiet on the chat. I don't know. Maybe the subject was maybe a little weird. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So the PDFs from today, but also from all the other days, they're all on my website, robvanbavel.com/news. Yeah, and yeah, every day I will try to update them with. So there are also PDFs about the rhythm changes, about the blues, about the modal, about the pentatonic, about the rhythmic variations. So I think enough stuff always to work on. Yeah, the PDF. Yeah, I will be there. Don't worry. A lot to digest. Yeah, I totally agree, Jan Willem. It's too hard. Nothing is difficult. No, that's not true. But they always say like it's only difficult because you didn't practice it. So let's get into the Coltrane changes. Okay, now then I wish you all a very nice day and hope to see you tomorrow. Okay, good. Thank you. And I hope to see you tomorrow and take care and stay healthy and enjoy the sun. Okay, see you tomorrow. Bye bye.